Today we're going to be looking at how to mark your GCSE performances, and the first grid that we're going to see is about fluency and accuracy. So the specification wording, the interpretation and the marks are all laid out for you. We're going to start at the top at the 10 to 12 mark bracket. So the specification says the performance is confident, accurate and fluent with good technical control appropriate to the demand of the music. There may be minor blemishes, but they do not significantly affect the overall performance. Intonation, where relevant, and tone production are good. So I've written some interpretations for you there, and I've written, if all the notes are accurate, give the student full marks. So if the student's performance is accurate, they don't make any mistakes, give them full marks. They'll get 12 in this section. If there are one or two mistakes or out of tune notes, take away an appropriate number of marks. So if they make one or two mistakes, I'd give them maybe 11 marks. And if they make 3 or 4 mistakes, maybe give them 10. Now, intonation means tone production. So is the tone secure? If you're thinking about a singer, are the notes crisp enough? Are they singing accurately? Are their notes at an accurate pitch? If it's a wind or a brass player, you're thinking about is the note solid? Is it strong? Does it waver? If it doesn't, then the intonation's good. So for the next step down between 7 and 9 marks, the specification says the performance is predominantly fluent with technical control adequate to the demand of the music. There could be some errors, but these do not disrupt the overall flow of the music. Intonation, where relevant, and tone production are generally secure. So I've put here that a few pitches might be incorrect, but the musician doesn't stop or slow down. So there might be a few more errors in the singing or in the instrumental playing, and there might be a few rhythms that don't quite fit with the piece of music, but you can give them 9 marks if it's almost there, 8 marks if it's kind of in the middle, and 7 marks if they're not doing so well in that category. The 4 to 6 mark band says the performance has some fluency with mostly correct rhythms and pitches. Hesitance and technical errors may sometimes disturb the flow of the music. Intonation, where relevant, is partly secure. So this means most of the pitches are accurate, most of the rhythms are accurate, some notes or the tone production or the intonation is unsecure. So that might mean that some notes might not be as strong as others, or they might wobble. And then for the next category down, 1 to 3 marks, it says the performance has very limited accuracy and fluency. Intonation, where relevant, may be poor. So if the performance doesn't have many accurate or fluent notes, then this is the section that you should be considering. And obviously 1 is the bottom half of this section, 2 is the middle, and 3 is the top. In this section, we're going to look at expression and interpretation. So for the top mark category of 10 to 12 marks, the specification wording says, the performance is communicated musically and stylishly using conventions that are appropriate to the genre. A high level of musical detail is evident. So this means that the dynamics are clear and there are frequent changes to suit the emotion of the song. So you might have a chorus that's much, much louder than the verse. And those differences in dynamics are really obvious. So the quiet stuff is really quiet, the loud stuff is really loud. And then there's all the things in between. So you might have crescendos, diminuendos, you might have lots of other type of dynamic changes in there that adds to your marks. Articulations are clear and frequent usage of this is appropriate to the emotions of the song. So you're adding expression in such as staccato, legato, you're changing the tone of your voice or the tone of your instrument quite frequently and obviously to affect the emotion in the piece of music. In the 7 to 9 mark category, it says the performance communicates some appropriate dynamics and articulation, and there is an attempt to shape the music. So there are dynamics and articulation there, but they may be not always clear or not always so different to each other. So you might be a bit louder in the chorus, but it's not a massive difference compared to the top category. In the 4 to 6 mark category, it says the performance has limited attention to dynamics and articulation, although there may be some sense of direction. So here, there are very few dynamics and articulation present. If they are present, there are very subtle changes, so you can't really hear the difference. In the 1 to 3 mark category, It says the performance attempts to communicate the piece in a simple way, but there is little success. So there are attempts at dynamics and articulation, but it's not enough to hear a massive difference. You're now going to use all of this information to mark some pieces of performance work.